Why are you a friend of Israel after they've committed genocide in Gaza? Why are you still a friend of Israel? That man is a minister. You're stopping me interviewing a minister.
It's on private property, that's why.
We have a free press in this country.
Yeah, no, on private property.
Extraordinary. One of the most influential pro-Israel lobby groups is about to sit down for lunch with a select group of Labour MPs at a luxury hotel in the heart of London. The MPs are going to start walking over from the Houses of Parliament across the river and into the venue behind me. But the full attendance list won't be published. So to find out who is still a friend of Israel after 2 years of genocide in Gaza, we're waiting outside, ready to question Labour politicians as they go in. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you heading for the Labour Friends of Israel
Yes,
lunch?
we are, yes.
Are you still a friend of Israel?
Absolutely.
Even after they've committed genocide in Gaza?
What I'd say to you is
Yeah.
that being a friend of Israel necessitates being a friend of Palestine. And the only way we're ever going to get peace in the region is if we have two states.
So you're a friend of Palestine, are you?
Absolutely,
Who's funding the lunch today? Who's paying for your lunch today? That was the chair of Labour Friends of Israel. He's gone out there recently to meet with President Isaac Herzog, who the UN Commission of Inquiry has said incited genocide.
It's an entire nation out there that is responsible. It's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true.
Walking next to the LFI chairman, Mark Seawards, was Steve Yem, the Labour MP for Mansfield. While Seawards claimed that he was a friend of Palestine and supported a two-state solution, the group reacted negatively when Keir Starmer finally recognised Palestine in September. LFI said, "We strongly disagree with the decision to recognise a Palestinian state at this point." Hi, Luke Akehurst. Phil Miller from Declassified. Are you going to the Labour Friends of Israel lunch? Do you know who pays for this lunch? Who funds the organisation? Why are you taking hospitality from an organisation that isn't transparent about its funding? Do you think your constituents will have trust in you if you take opaque hospitality? Why are you still a friend of Israel after they've committed genocide in Gaza? So that was the Labour MP Luke Akehurst, but before he was elected to Parliament last year, he ran a pro-Israel lobby group called We Believe in Israel. He was very influential in the right wing of the Labour Party, in the movement that helped get Starmer installed as leader, and he was then parachuted into a safe seat in the north of England, miles from where he'd ever lived, and he's now an MP. Within minutes of our arrival, the hotel security complained about us to the police, who already seemed to be on high alert, and they started to move us further away from the hotel. So we're just waiting at the end of Westminster Bridge. You can maybe hear Big Ben in the background. It's a very busy part of central London. There are lots of tourists coming over the bridge as well. But it's surprisingly easy to spot the politicians as they stand out, not just because of the way they're dressed, but when they see the cameras, they start to look quite nervous. And obviously then when I ask them if they're going to the Labour Friends of Israel lunch, they walk even quicker than they have been already, which suggests that this is maybe something they don't want their constituents to know they're involved with. Peter Kyle, Phil Miller from Declassified UK. Why are you a friend of Israel after they've committed genocide in Gaza? Why are you still a friend of Israel? That man is a minister. You're stopping me interviewing a minister.
It's on private property, that's why.
We have a free press in this country.
Yeah, no, on private property.
Extraordinary. So that was the Labour MP Peter Kyle, who's actually the government's trade minister, and he's the man responsible for allowing arms exports to Israel to continue. You saw there he was rushing into the venue and the police stopped me from asking him questions about that. But he is the man responsible, for example, allowing F-35 fighter jet parts to continue to be sold from Britain to Israel via the US. And those fighter jets have been used to massacre civilians in Gaza repeatedly. Hi, I'm Phil Miller from Declassified. Are you going to the Labour lunch? The Labour Friends of Israel lunch? Are you a friend of Israel after what it's done in Gaza?
Hi there.
Doesn't bother you?
Hello.
Hi there.
Please.
You're stopping us interviewing politicians?
No, it's a private property, that's all.
Right.
Okay? That's all.
So all this is private?
Yeah.
Okay. So the free press can't operate here? Can't interview people about why they're supporting a genocide? Are you still a friend of Israel?
I'm a friend of Israel. I support a negotiated two-state solution. This is the only way to resolve the legitimate case of both peoples, the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Who's paying for the lunch today? Who funds Labour Friends of Israel? They're quite opaque with their funding, aren't they? So we just had a chat there with Dame Louise Ellman. I believe she's a former chair of Labour Friends of Israel, a very senior member of the group. She's been out to Israel during the genocide to meet with Israel's President Isaac Herzog, who's been accused of genocide by the UN Commission. She claims this is all about supporting a two-state solution. She didn't answer my questions about who was paying for the lunch today.
Perhaps a clue lies with this man, who we believe to be Sir Victor Blank. A former chairman of Lloyds Bank, he was reported to have supported LFI many years ago. He did not respond to a request for comment via email. With police and security obstructing us, we had to film from further away, behind a wall. From this vantage point, we saw 6 other MPs and a member of the House of Lords entering the hotel. While we couldn't be certain that everyone filmed from this angle was attending the LFI lunch, several are known to have ties to the group. These include Peter Princely. A week earlier, he had been announced as a vice chair of LFI, something he had not mentioned the previous day at a parliamentary committee hearing on the policing of Israeli football team Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Before we start, there are some declarations of interest. I will declare that I am an officer and member of the Conservative Friends of Israel. Peter?
And I'm a Jewish Labour MP.
Princely has already been reprimanded once by Parliament's watchdog for failing to properly declare a £2,600 LFI trip to Israel in May, when he met President Herzog at the height of the genocide. We also saw Damien Egan, the Labour MP for Bristol North East, who went on a £2,400 LFI trip to Israel in 2024. And this is Danny Beales, the MP for Uxbridge, who went on a £2,200 LFI trip to Israel shortly before the war. Here's Neil Coyle, the MP for Bermondsey, who was named as a parliamentary supporter of LFI on their website before they took the list down ahead of the 2024 election. And this appears to be Matt Tremaine, the MP for Watford. He was asked to comment. Meanwhile, inside the hotel, 400 guests had arrived for lunch, showing their still strong support for Israel, even after everything that's happened in Gaza. Guests included some of Britain's most senior politicians, including Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy and Chancellor Rachel Reeves.
We must not tacitly accept the distortion that Zionism is something that has to be apologised for, or worse yet, a label to be surrendered to conspiracy theorists and anti-Semites. That progressive Friends of Israel, whatever their criticism of particular governments, must be willing to say unapologetically, I am a Zionist.
Other influential figures we think entered the hotel included a member of Labour's National Executive Committee and former advisors to Gordon Brown and Tom Watson. Another LFI supporter, Lord Turnberg, seemed to be coming for lunch too, followed by undercover police and other officers.
So we think the police have all rushed inside the building, and we think that some protesters might have staged a demo inside. We thought they were going to do one outside. Oh, here, okay, people are being led out now. So as police, you're meant to protect the public.
Yeah.
You're pushing people into a bike lane here. They could be standing safely here. We could be standing safely talking to people. Surely there's a public byway here, right of access, even if it's privately owned.
It is privately owned.
Because you're pushing us into this dangerous bus lane here.
The other side of the road there is not.
So because the police have been pushing people off the plaza, an elderly lady has just fallen off the curb here into the bike lane.
All their crimes in your name.
After we finished filming, I emailed LFI so they had another chance to respond. The group said it complies with relevant transparency standards and does not receive funding from the Israeli government, but it did not clarify who its main funders were, claiming it could put them at risk. It even suggested that it was anti-Semitic for journalists to ask them such questions. We put their allegation to leading Israeli historian Avi Shleim.
Using anti-Semitism as a weapon to silence criticisms of Israel. This is an extremely dangerous phenomenon because Israel is a state, Zionism is the official ideology of that state. Anti-Semitism is the hatred of Jews because they are Jews. Anti-Zionism has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. And I have to say that the Israel lobby has been extremely successful in imposing the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism in this country, on the universities, on local authorities, and it's utterly deplorable weaponizing anti-Semitism to attack freedom of speech.